Welcome to Hardline. I couldn't resist covering this story because it takes place in Tennessee, in my home state. There's been a whole kerfuffle about the COVID and bars in Nashville. Apparently, initially the story was released showing that even though bars and restaurants had some of the lowest numbers traced back to them, they wanted to keep them closed. Well, apparently the Tennessean has fact-checked the initial story. Fact-checked. Did the Nashville mayor's office hide coronavirus stats? No, not at all. They go on to claim that the information wasn't attempting to be hidden. The point is, though, the numbers were below 80. They were some of the lowest coming from bars and restaurants, and they did still close them. So whether or not they were trying to hide this information, which apparently wasn't exactly common knowledge and it wasn't highly reported on, whether or not they were hiding it or not is not as important as the fact that apparently they can't connect high numbers of COVID cases to people going to restaurants and bars in Nashville. Regardless of that, the bars and restaurants are still closed, and this is hurting a lot of people. Now, the Tennessean goes on to say that despite the numbers, we're supposed to trust the science. Always trust the science, even though the WHO has changed their mind on things every couple of months. We're supposed to trust the scientists and the doctors, and of course Bill Gates. But yeah, apparently, despite the fact that we have low numbers, it's Nashville's tourism presents the possibility of bars being super spreaders. Oh, that sounds so scary. Okay, so Nashville bars could be super spreaders, despite the fact that I don't believe that there's a whole lot of tourism going on right now. It's probably only locals that would be in said bars and restaurants because everything's closed, and everybody's staying home because everything's closed, which is the same reason a lot of small businesses are failing. But yeah, so the initial story may have had some issues, but regardless of what the Tennessean is trying to say here, the fact is the bars and the restaurants are closed. It's hurting small businesses, and for some reason, guys like Fauci, the doctors and authorities we're supposed to listen to, think that we shouldn't tell people not to go to protests. Now, we're not calling all these protests areas where there could be super spreaders, despite the fact that whenever there are these big protests, there's a lot of people not wearing masks, and then the numbers spike. But let's completely ignore that and destroy small businesses, which is apparently exactly what we're doing. But yeah, that's my rant for the day. Thank you guys, and tune in next week for Hardline.
Welcome to Hardline, folks. It's Burdock here. So Mitch McConnell has issued a statement saying, yes, they are going to accept votes on the Senate floor for the Supreme Court Justice nominee, which, by the way, is the responsibility. It's the duty of the president when a seat is vacated to fill it, to start the process. The Supreme Court is very busy. It's going to be delayed even further, and it's a responsibility that he has to do. That's part of it. Part of his job is to do that. Now, I'm understanding that there are a bunch of liberals / socialists that are out there claiming that Ginsburg her last request on her deathbed was that her seat not be filled until after the election, which is just a shame that if I don't think that a Supreme Court justice would even say that, because they realize what the law, it's their responsibility to uphold the law. And she certainly has no say in the process of her being replaced. I don't understand that. Maybe she didn't understand that certainly doesn't help. But my guess is that that's not true. You're seeing a lot of this, and the immediate knee-jerk reaction, of course, we've got Murkowski. Now, the interesting thing about Lisa Murkowski is that if you look, Murkowski issued the statement the same day Ginsburg died, which I'm ahead of you guys a little bit, but the same day in the U.S., before she died, which is a little bit weird, saying no. She's taking full advantage of her no vote, just like she did before, and really this is the only way that she can have the attention she requires. And she's milking it and will milk it for all she's got. We'll see who else steps up. I guess I hear that there's a couple of other people that are already voting no, and they don't even know who the nominee is. I got to guess it's going to be a white woman. I got to guess. I really do. I think it's out there. It'll be interesting to see how people react. But we'll have to figure out who exactly this person is going to be representing. I think that it might be interesting that if Trump went and nominated because any nominee is going to get struck down, so why not just nominate a black liberal woman with a extremely questionable past, who hasn't really been vetted yet? That would be funny, I think, considering the fact that anything is going to be met with extreme opposition. And Murkowski, shame on you for even doing this before anything's ever suggested. Before the woman dies, you're saying no. You just got to get ahead of that press cycle, and that's all this is about. So we're going to keep an eye on this situation very clearly, but one of the most important things of the day, and I'm not going to give the guy the pleasure of calling his name out. We know who he is. Well, everyone knows who this guy is. He's got, 100 and some odd thousand followers, and he's some sort of journalist or author, has, said that he's going to burn down, or they, and it's clear who they are now, adding to the $1.2 billion in riot damage. They will add to the cost of protecting the Supreme Court. They're talking about burning down the Supreme Court if there is even any attempt for Trump to do his duty in order to fill this spot. We're going to watch it closely. It's very clear what the opposition is doing. And we're also watching closely about some new bacterial infection, good timing, that has just broken out in China. More to come on the Goldwater. Godspeed. God bless America.